Anime and manga are a bit stagnant right now. They're not bad, not by any means. Every year there's something to look forward to, especially in the underground scene. And I'm still discovering different manga, both old and new, almost every week that I would say are genuinely great. But even my favorites are a bit similar. And that's not a critique on any of the writers working today, it's just that anime and manga have become so universal that even the most unique series have their own set of contemporaries as well as blatant clones. So on that note, it's been a while since I've seen something that felt like a genuine breakthrough, but I think I may have finally scratched that itch with this manga that I just read. The Beast and the Witch is a rather old manga actually, written by Kosuke Sadake. It's slated for a January 2024 anime release, and it follows the story of Kaido, a feral aggressive girl, and Ashef, a charismatic soft-spoken man with a coffin strapped to his back. Before I go into detail with this review, I want to mention that I would not call this manga great in a traditional sense, in that its narrative is so rich or that I so profoundly resonated with its characters, no. But once every blue moon you encounter a movie or an anime or a manga that's just an explosion of creativity and technical mastery that it almost transcends the traditional boundaries and criteria that the quality of a body of work may be defined by, it almost does not matter anymore. And that's The Witch and the Beast. The story is actually not bad at all, it's just not the selling point of the manga. The two leads, Kaido and Ashef, belong to an organization of magic users, and Kaido is actually a beast-like creature, trapped in the body of a cute girl, and his curse was the doing of a witch who he is in pursuit of for revenge. And each arc develops in a way where they investigate different witch cases that may or may not be related to Kaido. The Witch and the Beast is a series that marches to the beat of its own drums. It's like those detective series where the episodes aren't all that connected. Each episode is its own mystery and self-contained story, and that's how it works here too, kind of. Like I said, the plot isn't extraordinary, but as far as being imaginative, being an absolute marvel to look at, the author comes out swinging from the very first chapter. Chapter 1 saw Kaido and Ashef investigating a rather suspicious witch that had somehow earned the trust of a village, and it's a cool little intro villain, you know, nothing too crazy. But right off the bat, you get these spells and magic and this battle of an enormous skill that is brought to life by this unreal art, and it just keeps going, it doesn't stop. It takes a lot for me to say the story is not too strong, but it's fine, it can be excused. It doesn't matter, even. As the guy who reviews stuff, I absolutely hate this argument of, bro, just play it for the gameplay, just watch it for the choreography. I have always firmly believed that action should serve the story and be a vehicle for the drama between the characters that are engaging in combat. Action and story, one cannot function without the other. To me, there is pretty much no exceptions to this rule. However, in some extremely rare cases, a certain movie, or in this case a manga, is just so wild, so unapologetic, and so unorthodox in the best ways possible that even I can say, F it, who cares about the story, just experience this insane shit. The only two movies that ever did this for me was The Raid 1 and Redline. You know, the movie that took 7 years to complete, and now The Witch and the Beast have joined those two. The action in anime and manga are mostly associated with power-ups, explosions, or at best, really good hand-to-hand combat. We usually don't get to see stuff like fights taking up a whole city. I mean, we see cities get leveled and flattened by huge monsters and whatnot, but seeing nimble, agile characters jump out of buildings, jump through glass windows, pop up from behind the walls, two average human-sized characters just fighting all over the city. We only get that in blockbuster movies or in huge video games made by a whole team of developers and artists, because you have to map out how the character will interact with the building, with the environment, how the floor will cave in, or when a character will get launched out of a building. And to hand draw this kind of action design is an overwhelmingly painstaking process that most manga artists are understandably not willing to put themselves through. But let me tell you, Satake did it, without fail, in every single arc. The action developed in stages, from punches and kicks to magic and spells, and all the way to summoning these huge monsters. They always start relatively small scale, but the manga has this really peculiar gimmick where if Kaido kisses a witch, even if it's not the witch that cursed him, he can still momentarily transform into his true form, and this transformation is stocked for actually critical entire battles. And every time he transforms, it's a movie. It's just the most majestic, over-the-top thing you'll ever see. And another reason why I can overlook the lack of a complex story is because, while yes, the plot itself is very simple, they just look for witches. When I say the manga is a showcase of technical mastery, I mean that. Each arc and each case is constructed extremely well. The mystery surrounding the witch is interesting every time. Each arc gives you new lore-related information about magic users, different organizations and their politics. The changing scenarios and cities are refreshing. The setting is this old fantasy England landscape, so it feels even less like a typical manga you're familiar with. There is a really good arc about necromancy that explores loss very well. There are strict procedures as to who can or can't be resurrected, and in most cases, resurrecting your loved one results in them turning into this zombified version of themselves that's just miserable to see. And yet, most people cannot resist their temptations to meet their deceased family again. And we see people like that get exploited by scummy necromancy practitioners, and it's a genuinely poignant look at grief. But my real favorite arc is called The Witch and the Demon Sword. It's about this witch called Helga who comes from a family lineage where they protect this powerful magic sword that has the ability to tempt people. They're witches, but they're actually good people. And her entire family was massacred by an executioner, so she dedicates herself to honoring her family's legacy and not letting this sword to be freed into society. But the sword has intelligence of its own, and lately it's been going on a murderous rampage, just killing every person that comes into contact with Helga, and so basically she's been getting framed. There is an organization called the Paladin Corps currently chasing after her, and they've been getting tips from a really suspicious looking preacher type guy. Our protagonists Kaido and Ashef also want a piece of the witch, so this arc has a lot of moving parts, and it has an insane finale. This arc is full of plot twists, double crosses, and a breathtaking huge set piece that's spread all over the city. The captain of the aforementioned Paladin Corps has an elemental ice power, so that combined with the sword manifesting into a living form, plus Kaido's transformation, the visuals were genuinely next level. With all of that being said though, I do have some minor nitpicks for the manga, mostly in the writing department, as you could probably expect. Nothing is flat out bad, but Kaido as a character really does not move me. In his/her little girl form, he's so entitled and quick to lash out. I don't remember everything about Avatar, so this could be a bad faith opinion, so don't quote me on this, but at least as a kid, I remember finding Top to be extremely annoying. Kaido is that character. So needlessly aggressive and mad about everything. Like, bro, I get it, you lost your body or something, but the people around you haven't done anything to be having to put up with your attitude. I think authors use this archetype of characters as somewhat of a comic relief or to a cute effect, but honestly, in practice, they're just annoying. They don't have an arc, nor do they ever get their comeuppance. The same is also true for Ashef in that he doesn't have much of an arc either. But he's a lot more charming and likable than Kaido, and I think the intent is for him to bounce off Kaido's brash energy and for the two to be a charismatic pair. And it's not that it completely falls flat, but it's just not good enough for me to endure Kaido's personality. To sum up my thoughts, stuff like this manga and Redline, to me they're almost like an exhibition. You can't appraise them the same way that you would their contemporaries. Why? Because they literally have no contemporaries. It's purely a cathartic visceral experience you have to go in and enjoy without a single thought. I never made this excuse for other movies and anime, but there is a reason why this is an exception. When someone creates a bold and daring piece of art like this, there's almost always a price to pay. Redline took 7 years to complete, and theatrically, in the year that it released, it was close to being a flop. And The Witch and the Beast is currently on a long hiatus because the author is going through some serious health complications after working on the manga for so long. It's like they sacrificed their well-being just for the art. It's not anything to romanticize, but it says something about the passion of these creators and the lengths that they will go just to bring their vision to life. And really, my only wish for the anime is for them to capture the kinetic impact, the visual life, and the passion the manga has in droves. That's all I got for today. Please read The Witch and the Beast.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more.